everybody. We are live. It's Friday, another Friday. So I always look forward to chatting with you. I have my good friend and now one of our newest Superfly coaches, Dave Miner, with us.
Hello guys, how are you doing?
We're going to give everybody a chance to towel off because I'm sure everybody's doing their swim workouts over their lunch break right now and are going to be getting out of the pool, you know, getting in that last sprint set or drill set, right?
Right.
So to make sure that we can allow people a chance to get on. So finally, we're getting some sun here in Sarasota. I thought I moved to the Sunshine State, but you were smart. You got out of here, right?
I got out of here for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Still some rain, but it wasn't as bad as here.
It was crazy. We hadn't seen the sunshine for quite a long time. So it's nice that it's sunny again, and we're going to be getting rolling. And I don't know about where you guys swim, but we swim next to some kids that are like fish in the water, and it's crazy. And it's one of the ways I met Dave was he's one of the coaches that helps those kids swim, and they look like flexible little rubber bands underneath the water. It's like they have no solid bone structure.
They don't get tired either.
Yeah, exactly. They just go back and forth, back and forth. It must be all the video games and Snapchat, which.
Yeah, they eat well too.
Yeah, they do that. Yeah, it's funny with the Snapchat. My daughter does that, and was educating me on what streaks are. And I tease Tanya because I think she thinks that Amazon requires streaks. You know, so every day Amazon. Hopefully they don't witness a streak here when they show up today. But welcome everyone. We want to respect everybody's time that did sign on and you know, took a chance to watch us. I want to get into some really important stuff around swimming, that it's always one of the largest challenges that we deal with as coaches is how do we help people with their swim? A lot of times people come to the sport as cyclists or runners or having done something else. And so many people really, really struggle with the swim. And the way that you not only execute the swim, but the way that you're able to get into the swim and, you know, make that actually a strength really changes the whole game and how the whole triathlon experience can go. So Dave, real quick, because I know we're going to do a podcast as well as a video chat too, so we'll get into more of these details there. But do you want to give everybody a real quick bio on you and a little bit about your background with swimming?
Sure. Hey guys, how you doing today? Glad to have you with us. I'm looking forward to working with you guys and being part of Superfly with Adam here and the rest of the coaches on the team. So my background is mostly swimming. I've done some triathlon stuff in the past, but mostly swimming. I'm the head coach for a master swim team. I'm a level 3 USMS certified coach. Open water coach. I'm an ASCA certified level 2 coach. So I spend a lot of time coaching all different types of swimmers, from basic fitness swimmers to new adult swimmers to triathletes to highly competitive ex-college swimmers. They don't always need a lot of coaching, but they certainly look forward to some workouts that we put together for them. So a pretty diverse background in swimming. And like I said, the people that I work with are very diverse. So, you know, whether you're a swimmer just starting out, you know, or a seasoned ex-college swimmer, you know, we have a way to make you become successful and accomplish your goals.
I love it. And what else I love about Dave too is not only is he extremely knowledgeable about swimming, but he's also a very high level open water swimmer himself, as well as race director. So you have, what's the longest race you put on in these?
The longest race that I put on, that my company puts on, is a 7-mile swim around Lido Key here in Sarasota. I've participated in races up to over 12 miles.
Oh, wow.
And numerous 10s and 9s and 8s and 10Ks and all that. So I haven't gone the 20-mile distance yet, but I don't know. Maybe one of these days.
I think that a lot of triathletes might have done 7-mile swims in their Ironman because they can't sight at all.
Well, that's possible. You know, I often say, though, I'm not a runner, so sometimes I'd say I'd rather swim 20 miles than run 20 miles.
Oh, my gosh.
So all you runners out there, you know.
Here's a funny story, and then I'll get into what everybody signed up for. Dave put on a 5K open water swim the other day, and it was a 5K option and a 2,500, and of course, being a typical triathlete, I'm like, the hell am I going to do the 2,500 for? I'm just going to do the 5K, you know? Well, we had just done Gulf Coast the day before, so we drove back, got in really late, and I signed up for...
I was surprised to see him.
You know, you're the only reason I can, because you said people didn't think that we were going to be there, and I told Tanya, we're going because nobody thinks we'll make it. So we start off, and I realize about 200 yards in that I have no idea how to pace a 5K straight open water swim. And so I knew that I was going pretty hard, and I saw that the front group had kind of gapped me a little bit. And I thought, all right, I'm going to put in a big effort here and try to catch up to that front group. So I swam real hard for a couple of minutes, caught two swimmers that were about my daughter's age. So I think one was probably like 12 or 13 and one was 15. And I totally drafted off them for a good 2,000 yards or meters or whatever it was. And then I ended up taking the lead, and I thought, oh, I'm going to put it in and try to drop them. And I ended up dropping myself, and just went backwards for a little bit. But it's super fun, and one of those things that I would encourage everybody to jump in and try. And just there's so many cool endurance events out there. Sometimes as triathletes, we get a little tunnel vision on it. Must be Ironman, must be half Ironman. There's so many things that you can do to help take your fitness to another level. And the other thing that I like doing those types of things for too is because you have no basis to really compare it to. So you're gonna PR, which a lot of people, that's the only way we can PR anymore is doing something new. Right. You're gonna have a lot of fun, and you can't be upset with yourself because you have no idea exactly how good you can or can't be. It's your first time, and one of the things that I miss doing is things for the first time a lot. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, swimming doesn't have to be a struggle or the part of the triathlon that you least want to participate in.
Right.
Swimming can be fun, it can be enjoyable, you can do it well and be successful at it. You just got to be willing to put in a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, and don't avoid it.
Right.
I see a lot of triathletes try to avoid the swimming. It's only an 800 meter swim, I just need to jump in and do that, instead of putting in that time and effort and making that a successful 800 meter swim, and get out in the water feeling good about your swim, feeling good endurance-wise, and getting ready to go on your bike.
Oh, I love that. In fact, when we do our podcast, we have a little more time here next, I'm going to ask you your thoughts on the difference between time versus intensity in the pool. But,
absolutely.
All right, let's get to the topics of the day that I promised. We want to kind of take the first three things that a lot of triathletes talk to us about, and then actually when we were getting ready, I said, another thing that people ask a lot about is calf cramps in the pool. And so we have some thoughts and ways to maybe help you with that as well that we'll get into on our podcast that we'll do here next and our community call that we do. But breathing, the breathing with the swim, it sounds so like you have to breathe, right? It seems like sometimes the best thing a coach can do is state the obvious. So breathing is a good thing. And I always tell people that statistics consistently show the more oxygen you get, the better you're going to do, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So what are some of the things that you notice with breathing, with people who are maybe hyperventilating in the water, or they feel panicky, or they're just not executing their breathing right?
Yeah, with swimming, it's different. You can't breathe all the time like you can in running or biking. Your face is in the water, it's submerged for a period of time. Whether you breathe every stroke, every 3 strokes, every 4 strokes, for a period of time your face is in the water and you can't breathe. However, you can exhale, that which is an important part of swimming, not just the breath. So some of the tips are, really focus on a good exhale before you're ready to take that breath. As you're finishing your stroke, before you're going to turn your head to take that breath, and I say turn your head, not lift your head, be ready to take a good breath. If you're still exhaling as your mouth clears the surface of the water, you're not going to be able to take a good breath. You're only going to get a half breath. So imagine trying to do a run and only taking half breaths every single time you take a breath. At some point during that run, you're going to get really tired and you're going to have a really hard time. Well, the same thing's going to happen in the pool. So you have to make sure that you get a good exhalation so that way you're ready to take a good breath. When you turn your head, your mouth clears the water, you're ready to take a good breath. Sometimes in open water you miss a breath because there's a wave or something that hits you in the face, or there's a swimmer that's close by and they push a wave into your face. Well, put your head back down in the water, hold that breath, take another strong stroke. If there's anything left to exhale, finish it off and turn and get a good breath. That's an important part. That exhale is really important before you turn your head to get that breath.
It's funny that you say that because I used to tell my athletes that would get freaked out in water that they can't see.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Sorry, Alexa's chiming in. When they couldn't see, they get more panicked. And I would say the one thing that I would go to all the time is the sound of my exhale under the water.
Yeah.
And that's the same whether you can see your hand in front of your face if the water's murky or if it's super clear. It's just getting it. So that's actually a really good point. That
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I talk about is, let's say you're a right side breather and you're going to breathe every stroke. So your right hand enters the water, your face is down in the water. As you're taking that stroke with your right hand, you're doing your catch, your pull. You can start the exhale at that point as you're starting to kill. Now you don't have to blow everything out all at once, but you can start that exhale, blowing bubbles. Think of blowing bubbles either out your nose or out of your mouth, either way. So as about the time you're ready to turn that head, you can do that final full exhalation to get whatever air is remaining in out. So when you turn that head, you're ready to get a good breath.
Oh, I love it. No, I love that. And so, yeah, and just working, I know you work really well with me even on just timing that breath. And there's just little things that you can do that will help with every aspect of your swim stroke. And a lot of it starts with breathing, I know for obvious reasons, but also just the mechanics of how you're breathing too can change. Maybe this is a good segue into why do people's legs sink, right? And so probably would in part start with how they're breathing, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't want to steal your thunder. So why are some of the big reasons people's legs sink?
Well, I mean, that's a big problem that I see with triathletes. They're trying to, they come in, they have this issue. They're, oh, my legs sink. I can't keep them at the surface. What is the problem? What is going on here? Well, notoriously, I mean, a lot of triathletes have, more denser leg mass, muscle mass. So they're going to sink maybe a little bit more than some others. Swimmers are known to have skinny legs. So, but bikers and runners typically not. So, but some of the important part of keeping your legs at the surface, one is keeping your head down. You lift your head to breathe, to even sight, something's gonna have to give. It's kind of like a teeter-totter. Your head goes up, your legs go down. So keeping that head down, and I mentioned earlier about turning your head to breathe versus lifting your head to breathe. So turn the head to breathe, do not lift the head to breathe, okay? So that's an important part. Your head goes up, your feet are most likely going to go down, and your hips are going to go down. The second thing is really engaging your core. Swimming comes so much from your core. So developing a strong core, being able to help use the core muscles to help keep your hips and your legs at the surface really can make a difference. I tell swimmers to visualize sucking your belly button to your spine. So if you can kind of mimic that, obviously you're not going to do that physically, but if you can think about pulling that belly button all the way back to your spinal cord, that's really going to help pull those hips up to the surface. So work on your core, work on keeping that head down. Those are two things that are really going to help keep your legs at the surface. Obviously, some level of a kick is a third and good tip. Triathletes, I hear a lot of times, oh, my coach tells me not to kick too much because I'm going to bike and run. And I understand that. But you also don't want to get out of the swim completely fatigued and struggling. So, keeping those legs at the surface, allowing yourself to swim horizontally versus in a plowing position is going to allow you to get out of the water feeling better. So a 2B kick, 4B kick, something that is going to help keep those legs at the surface. Kicking is an important part of swimming.
What if you don't go anywhere when you kick?
Yeah, if you don't, we hear that a lot. I see people, I've coached people, new adult swimmers that actually went backwards when they started kicking.
You've met my wife. Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, and not everybody, I'm going to tell everybody right now, not everybody's a good kicker. I'm not a good kicker, and not everybody's going to be a good kicker. You have to have flexible ankles. All right. You have to kick from your hips. All right. A lot of things I see, a lot of people are kick from their knees. All right, you don't kick a ball. You don't walk up to a soccer ball or a football and kick it from your knee down. You kick it from your hip. So same thing in swimming. We're going to kick from our hips, keeping our legs loose, keeping our knees flexible. You don't want to lock the knee out or anything like that. But you also don't want to be kicking, from the knee down. Keeping those ankles loose is really important. Feeling the pressure on the top of your foot as well as on the up kick on the bottom of your foot is also really important. If your feet are not flexible, if your toes are pointing down, that's when you go backwards or nowhere, because you're kicking, and especially if you start kicking from your knees, because I've seen people, as they kick from their knee, they're actually pulling water with the back of their leg
and the
back of the heel, and they're actually pulling themselves backwards. So, kicking from those hips, keeping those toes pointed behind you, not pointing towards the bottom of the pool, are two really important parts in kicking. And then just getting out there and practicing it over and over and over again. I mean, there's stretches you can do to work on your ankle flexibility, things like that. But, just getting out there and practicing that kick is the best way to perfect it. And I have some other drills that I do with swimmers that we can get into later in the podcast, vertical kicking and things that really can help you become...
we can't vertical kick because our Garmin doesn't pick that up. And if the Garmin doesn't pick it up, Dave, then we don't have any fitness.
Well, there's a swimmer on our master swim team that wears a Garmin every day, and he's not a triathlete, and he only swims a few days a week. But when he kicks, he'll put his arm on the kickboard, and he moves it this way, and it records his kicking distance.
We do on our podcast. Don't be that guy. That would be a good. I think I'm gonna have Scott Iott start doing that too. Real quick, I'll throw you in because under the bus here because we didn't. I'm sure you have an answer. So the question came up here. I saw. What about using flippers or paddles? Or good or bad? And we can talk a little bit more in detail. But in general, would you recommend?
I think from a kicking standpoint, let's talk about kicking real quick with fins. The longer bladed fins, the more flexible fins are going to help you develop more ankle flexibility. They're short stubby fins like a zoomer or something like that. You really want to focus with those really short fins if you're a better kicker. Get a fin that has a little bit longer blade, even the like a Speedo long blade or Finis or some of those make some good longer bladed fins. They're really pretty expensive. I think you can get a set for about $30. And they're going to help with your ankle flexibility. You're going to pick up your speed a whole lot when you put those on, and that's okay. But it'll help with your ankle flexibility. But don't get to the point where every time I kick, I'm throwing on those fins and never trying it without fins.
Here's a question too. What about kicking with one leg? I'm assuming this person has two legs. So actually, I know this person carries. So kicking with one leg. Have you ever?
I mean, I don't really write that into any.
I know what she's talking about. Where she's because I'm guessing they're wanting to focus on the up and down motion, right, of the kick.
Yeah, and you may be talking about a one beat kick. Where you're kicking once when your right hand enters the water, you're kicking once with your left leg, right. And when your left hand hits the water for your catch and pull, your right leg does a single kick. Yeah. So that's basically a two beat kick. One beat for every time your hand enters the water, one kick. Now, if you're talking about practicing with just one leg and dragging the other, I would put on a fin for something like that in the beginning. All right, put a fin on, you can drag that other leg. There's some drills out there where you put a paddle on your left hand, a fin on your right hand, and you swim. All right, so you can really work on two things at once there. A good catch and pull, filling it with that paddle, and working on that kick. Then you can swap it. Put the fin on the left leg and the paddle on the right arm.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I know that. She's saying she doesn't do it on purpose. Just notice my one leg doesn't engage like my right. I've had swim sets where coaches have had us literally try to just kick with one leg for fitness. Here's what I'll say about that too, and it goes back to something I've talked about on previous lives, and we can get more into this on the podcast because I want to respect everybody's work time. I'm sure everybody's at work right now too, but. Swimming's a big timing thing too. So if you're in the pool just trying to build fitness, there's a lot of stuff you can do to just get your heart rate up. But if you're trying to correct timing and position and how everything works together, I would be really careful doing things that don't get too far off from actually being able to connect that fitness right to
absolutely.
And like what Dave was saying with the top of your feet, one of the things that really helped me a lot too, because I even used to do this drill where I would kick with tennis shoes on. It's insane how hard that makes it, right? Yeah. But they would say really concentrate on pushing the shoelaces down to the bottom of the pool, and that'll help engage your hips. Right. We have so many questions still coming in. Please use our free Superfly coaching community. It's on Facebook. It's free. Ask the questions there. We always are looking to help people. Dave's going to be on there all the time as well. We're about to go do our live. podcast right now that we'll be posting, and we'll do a video and that type of stuff too. These are the exact types of questions that we love helping people with.
Absolutely.
One of the things, in case you guys don't have an opportunity to get on the podcast or listen or download that or see the video, Dave's going to be doing a 40% off one time for our listeners, where he can actually dissect your video, do a live Zoom chat, kind of like what we're doing. He'll pull up your video, go through it, Mark, you'll talk back and forth. You can check in with him, do various, little check-in points, because there's so much about not just fixing the symptoms with swimming. It's about coming from the core and working from the inside out. And, is it a flexibility issue? Is it, do you have a previous injury that's causing you to have a lack of flexibility, so you might need to tweak your stroke? What's the right stroke count for you? We're going to get into all this stuff, using bands. Is time versus intensity more important? These kinds of things. Doing other strokes, is that important? Do triathletes really need to do that? So if you're interested in all of those questions, we're going to hit those up next on our Facebook podcast that we're going to be posting in our community as well.
Yeah, one more thing I see, there's interval training versus rest interval training. So there's two things there, doing hundreds on a 2-minute base or doing hundreds with a rest interval of 15 seconds. Two different things.
Right.
So that's something else we can talk about. I have my opinions on that. And I think, there's a lot of documents and books and things out there that talk about rest intervals. I shy away from that a little bit, but we can talk about some things along those lines as well.
Love it. Guys, train safe, be safe this weekend. Hopefully, what's the storm called? Alberta, or I don't know, it's a boy or girl. So hopefully you miss it. It doesn't hit you, and everybody stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye-bye.